What is up, guys? It is Alina back for another video, and if you're new here, I'm a holistic nutritionist who helps people find balance one video at a time. And in this one, we are going to be talking about 5 habits for better digestion. So let's get started. Alright guys, I thought it was really important to do a video like this because in my nutrition studies and practice, I have come across so many people basically not fully understanding the foundational approaches and habits that can drastically impact our digestion. I think that a lot of times in the wellness space, we get preyed upon by supplement companies, by brands who are like, oh, you have digestive issues. Oh, you have this, you have that. Try this super special unique herb or the super special unique adaptogen or the super special unique highly priced fiber. And as a result, we end up paying a lot of money for these so-called superfoods that maybe help certain people, but maybe not help us as individuals. And we forget the foundational habits and day-to-day things that we can do that can drastically impact our digestion. So that's why I wanted to do this video. By the way, this video is actually sponsored by YOA, or Your Wellness Academy. And it's kind of like, I like to call it the Netflix of health and wellness education. So with that said, let's go ahead and dive into the video. Oftentimes, maybe it's because we're on our lunch break or because we're rushing or because we're more likely to prioritize work and things we need to do rather than prioritizing our sleep and rest. Understandably, a lot of times we can't help but do that because it's necessary. It's easier for us to not take a few minutes out of our day before eating to stimulate our vagus nerve and essentially relax ourselves to help with digestion. So by stimulating your vagus nerve, you help your body move from the fight or flight sympathetic nervous system and over to activating your rest and digest parasympathetic nervous system. Now, the vagus nerve does this by releasing an array of anti-stress enzymes and hormones, and some of them include acetylcholine, prolactin, vasopressin, and oxytocin. Now, the big question is, how do you stimulate your vagus nerve? Well, you can do this through a few ways. One of them is through relaxed conversation and laughter with friends. Another way includes meditation or prayer. And one of my favorites is singing. You can actually Google right now all the different ways to stimulate your vagus nerve, and they can all result in similar benefits. Some of them including helping aid in digestion, along with helping improve memory, immune function, and even sleep. So that includes probiotics, prebiotics, and high fiber foods, just to name a few. So probiotics are essentially in 2 different categories. There's fermented foods that contain probiotics, and then there's probiotic supplements where they literally have the isolated good bacteria ready to go through your digestive tract. More recent studies have shown that probiotics aren't effective for long-term benefits, i.e. they don't actually colonize in our digestive tract, but as they are transient, as they do go through our digestive tract, they can still help to consume the bad bacteria, change up the environment for bad bacteria to help your body eliminate them. With fermented food, a lot of those bacteria have actually been found to actually stay and colonize in the body, along with helping us break down our food, helping to eliminate bad bacteria that's impairing our digestion. And so some examples of prebiotics or probiotics include kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut, and some prebiotic examples include resistant starches and fiber. So these are fibers and carbohydrates that our body can't break down and absorb, but the good bacteria can break down and absorb, and it can help them to colonize and work more efficiently to break down the bad bacteria. Oftentimes we can go throughout a large portion of our life and have different types of digestive issues, but never fully understand where they come from. And for a lot of people, food sensitivity can be the reason why. A lot of times we think that either we are completely allergic to a food or we can eat whatever we want. And there actually is a middle ground to that, and that is food sensitivities. There are a lot of different foods that we might eat. So for example, with myself, I'm sensitive to dairy and gluten. And whenever I have too much ice cream or too much pasta, I can experience a lot of digestive issues. And because I started to learn more about common foods that we can be sensitive to, that's what helped me to pay more attention to how my digestion responded to certain foods. And through identifying these foods, maybe through an elimination diet or through working with a practitioner like myself, a holistic nutritionist, you can identify these foods and then just find healthy swaps. So something that I like to do is, instead of using whole milk for the creamy texture in my lattes, I go for coconut milk because it is so thick and delicious to me. Or maybe if you are sensitive to gluten in bread or in pasta, go for the gluten-free pasta. Go for the pasta that's made out of lentils, or the bread that's specifically gluten-free. By paying more attention to what our body's trying to tell us through our digestion in response to certain foods, this can send huge ripple effects into the rest of our digestion, into the rest of the way that we eat. And it can also give you peace of mind once you've been able to identify these things. Next up is the Squatty Potty. Now, this one is definitely a tip that can seem pretty weird. I actually have a Squatty Potty in my bathroom, and I know that I'm sure guests have seen it and they're like, what are you doing, Alina? You don't have a child? But a Squatty Potty is essentially a stool that you place your feet on when you're using the restroom, when you're trying to have a bowel movement. And the reason why this is great for digestion is because anatomically, our colon actually opens up more and straightens out to facilitate a more quick and a less strained bowel movement, or, you know, going number two, when we are squatting. And this is because the creation or the occurrence of a toilet is actually relatively recent when in contrast, or when you're looking at the whole evolution of human organisms. And before toilets were created and before we had designated bathrooms, our ancestors would squat. And we actually see in a lot of other countries where they still squat to use the restroom, there are way less digestive issues when it comes to having a hard time using the restroom. So getting a Squatty Potty can actually help to kind of simulate that squatting posture. It can help to straighten out your colon and make it a lot easier and faster to use the restroom. Now, hydration is completely imperative when it comes to proper elimination. And when it doesn't get enough water, or when we are chronically dehydrated, it can actually lead to our colon reabsorbing water from our stool just to get enough water and hydration in our digestive tract and in the rest of the body. And when this happens chronically or consistently, this can result in damage to our colon. This can result in hard to move stool in our colon, which can result in constipation. This can also contribute to the growth of bad bacteria that can lead to things like gas and other digestive issues. So by staying well hydrated, by carrying around, like what I do, carrying around a water bottle wherever you go, basically, that way you always have that visual cue and that reminder to drink water, it can send a lot of ripple effects into our digestion, among so many other things. 15 to 30 minutes before I know that I'm going to eat, I try to drink that water. That way my body has absorbed it, it doesn't dilute the stomach acid, and it better equips our body to properly break down our food. All right, guys, that felt like a mouthful. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, be sure to share it, like it, and subscribe to support me, to support you, girl. And if you're interested in working one-on-one, just shoot me an email. I have my email address down below. And be sure to check out our sponsor, Yowa, or Your Wellness Academy. They are the epitome of the Netflix of health education, and if you like topics like these, there are full virtual courses diving deep into them, along with links to even more resources, content outlines. And right now they're actually having a special because of the current health crisis, which is really, really awesome of them. So be sure to check out links all down below to learn more about Yowa. All right, guys, with that said, I will leave you with my favorite quote, and that is to be gentle with yourself, because life is about the journey and not the destination. All right, I'll see you next time. Bye.